So Norman, we're heading into which most would call the busiest season for the auction calendar, the November property portfolio, which I see we have almost 30 properties on auction. How are you feeling for that?
Yes, Craig. So we've had quite an exciting last 2 months. I mean, the confirmation rates have been over 50%. So we've sold a number of properties. We've had a number of good properties, but we've been limited with the number of quality properties. But there's been increased demand, and the buyers are definitely there. I mean, we can see it. We're selling, and there's been an uptick.
Do you think that sellers are testing the market? Because, I mean, with that new sentiment...
Yeah, so I think there's a lot more realization. I think sellers are selling.
Yeah.
They've reduced their prices. They've come down. They're
Right.
a lot more realistic, and then they're accepting the offers that they're receiving.
And I mean, do you think that, you see there's active bidding on the floor, and I mean, I see the room quite full towards the latter part of the year. So obviously it's almost like a box of Smarties where the last is the best as such. And do you feel that the November showcase is in actual fact that package?
So there's been a clear indication that there's buyers again, and they've been bidding on properties and trying to buy at what they believe is their market price, or what they think the value is of the property. 3 months ago in our auction, we had an incredible turnout. A number of properties sold. Not all of them were confirmed. And post that period, we have a lot of regret sitting with the sellers,
Yes.
not accepting the offers that they received then, asking us to re-engage with the buyers and to resubmit their offer.
Right, yeah.
So what we see now is a whole bunch of new sellers who are a lot more realistic and realizing, the offers that they're receiving today are good offers.
Yes, and of course, is it a situation where you could re-auction a property if it wasn't successful? Is that a trend in the market right now?
Well, that happened exactly now recently in Cape Town. We auctioned a property a month ago. We had a number of people interested in the property.
Right.
Not a lot of people participated because I think we set the price expectations too high. Post that auction, we decided to re-auction the property, and we've sold it now.
Okay.
With a lot more realistic price sent out message to the market.
I mean, it is the ultimate, if you snooze, you lose. And I mean, it happens so quickly when you put these properties on auction. They come and go. You do have that remorse, that lack of participation, and people saying, well, maybe I should have, and sellers said I should have. And so if you combine the two together, it creates another level of anxiety to reposition the asset.
Well, there's anxiety on both sides. Let me tell you, Craig, there's anxiety on both sides, because buyers that don't buy the property often face the situation where they've lost the property.
Yes.
So they want to go up a little bit. They don't go up. They lose the property to someone else, and they regret not going up that little yard. Whereas sellers sometimes regret not selling the property because they get stuck with the property. So we're in an exciting industry. I mean, everyone is a little bit anxious, not sure if they're paying too much, or not sure if they're accepting too little.
Why is it that November have always been regarded as the busy period? Is it because, the new year beckons the new dawn, and people like to know where they stand? November has always been the busy period in this business, right?
Decision making gets done in the latter part of the year, because everyone wants to start off with a new beginning in the new year. Let's get rid of our non-core assets. Let's make sure that for the financial year end, we've disposed of the properties that we don't want. It's off our books on beginning of the new financial year, and those decisions all get made in October, November, September.
I mean, there is one particular property. I mean, there are many, but there's one that stands out that I know you've got a lot to talk about, which is the Keys Road property, because it is so magnificent. I've never seen a property of that proportion in Rosebank like the one you have on auction. Tell us a little bit about that property. I know you know it off the cuff.
So those offices in Keys Avenue, and I've been in the industry for a number of years.
Yes.
I have never, ever entered and walked offices that have been done so beautiful in my
Wow.
life. They are the pinnacle of properties
Wow.
when it comes to decoration, interior design. It has everything. They are absolutely magnificent. Bespoke furniture, everything that you possibly want in a great position. So, that is an unfortunate situation.
Is there a backstory to that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Unfortunately, the owner passed with COVID,
okay.
And the business has changed a little, and
Okay.
and the partnerships have decided to sell the property. It is worth double what I think we're going to achieve because of the current buyer's market, but we will sell that property and it's going to be a good sale.
I mean, I've never seen something like that.
There is another property that we take into the market. It's the old Netcare Hospital in Alberton. Massive, substantial buildings,
Right.
vacant for conversions or for an alternative use, storage, or possibly colleges or schools or education.
Right.
And maybe even a government hospital if they can get their act together, as long as it's not a private hospital that doesn't compete with Netcare we've developed down the road. But again, a complete buyer's market. I mean, that property is going to go for a song compared to what you'd have to redevelop it for.
Sure. And it's in that medical node, which is great. And it's in Alberton, if I'm not mistaken. There are two clinics.
Captive market.
Union and Clinton, they're all part of the same package, right?
That's right.
My gosh. Okay. So, there is definitely an opportunity out there. I mean, if you're not participating now, I don't think there'll be a better time in history. I mean, we're going to kick ourselves in 5 years' time, right?
So inflation is property's friend, and we've seen it. You go and try and build anything today, it's going to be considerably more than buying something existing. The spread between existing and redeveloping is the most I've ever seen it.
Right.
And I can tell you right now, the property prices over time are not going to come down because, like I said, inflation is a property man's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And these properties that the opportunity is beckoning now, they need to be taken up, and they are being taken up by the wise and clever investor.
And I mean, how do you find the future beckoning for 2023? Coming out of 2022, we have our last auction. We've had a difficult, challenging run, but I mean, we've maintained and we've sustained, and a greater property participation level now than ever before in the last 12 months, really. So how does 2023 strike you?
So at the end of the day, it's about the quality of stock that we bring to the market. And we just got to keep hunting good properties and we'll find buyers for it. I do believe that South Africans are resilient and they've actually accepted and they've adapted to where we are. There's no electricity half the day. Mm-hmm. There's water problems. Mm-hmm. There's rates increases. But you know what? We deal with it and we
work around it.
We get on with it. I mean, and I've seen that. And people are looking at all the upside and the potential and the opportunity in transactions instead of what can go, what's going wrong. And I think that's where our country is. We're right at the bottom of the barrel. There's still a lot that we need to do. Hopefully, government will come to the party somehow. Maybe they bump their head and they realize the path that we've been on and they change. But I do believe that the investors and the private sector want to get involved and are getting involved.
Yes. And I mean, they realize innovation is a key driver to this whole thing. Small business and innovation. And I mean, people are buying. People are selling and people are buying. It's just...
I've seen the most incredible renovations and developments being done on industrial and commercial properties in South Africa. I mean, schooling, hospitals. I mean, really creative residential estates. That's not a dying industry.
People have got to live. People have got to,
and people want to enjoy what they're doing. So they're spending money. I've seen a lot of investment go into property when we thought that everything was doom and gloom. It's not the case. I drive you around the country because I get to travel quite a lot.
Sure.
There's a lot happening, and there's a lot of investment, and there's a lot of people putting their money where their mouth is.
And also outskirt areas. Whereas in the past, before COVID, I mean, you would want to live as close to the CBD or as close to where you work. But now people are happy to enjoy a lifestyle and to commute as such when they need to. So there's flexibility attached to that now.
In the Southern Cape, in the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, the most extraordinary developments are happening. Investments are going in there that I can't even explain to you. You know, there's money going into those industrial nodes where people want to be.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, even when I look at the student accommodation and the residential developments going around university campuses, I mean, people are forward thinking and they're innovative, and they're creating these hubs
Sure.
where we would think, you know, the country's coming into an end. It's certainly not the case. The nice thing about the youth and young entrepreneurs is they don't know the negative side. They get dealt with what they receive, and they deal with it, and they try and make the most of it. So their thinking and vision is pure and is ambitious without all the clutter.
Yeah. And I guess the older we get, the more we find it so difficult to shake the baggage off. We were talking about this earlier. So, we go into the wind, and we
become conservative, we become scared, afraid.
Yeah.
But the young entrepreneur doesn't know that. So they'll make mistakes.
And they also know what they want.
But they'll have growth.
But they also know what they want in their market, because they read into their market, so they know what to provide for their market.
Yeah, so I think when you get older, you try and provide something that the market's asking for. When you're younger, you try and create something that you believe the market's going to get involved with.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yes.
And that leaves the older generation behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it really is birds of a feather flock together. So it would be easy if you're at that age and you know what your colleagues are looking for, your friends are looking for, and then build around it. And we often talk about innovation. And talk to me about green building, because I'm seeing across the board that, especially in the remoter areas, that taking into account,
Well, they've got no choice.
So they've got to green up everything.
Yeah, it's not about climate change, and it's not about anything else except adapting to the environment.
Yeah.
They have to make sure that they're almost off the grid if they want to save operating costs and electricity and water, and provide for themselves, self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're going. At the end of the day, I think a number of our municipalities are going to go that way as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. I love that space. It's creative, it's innovative, it's forward thinking, and it's taking us into the new age.
Yeah, and a dear colleague of mine once said to me that my biggest regret in property is that I should have bought everything I sold.
Yeah. No, let me just tell you, there's never a bad time to buy, and there is never a bad time to sell, as long as you're doing both.
Yes, absolutely.
Make sure if you're selling that you're replacing, and that you're replacing it with something.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, Norman, we're heading towards the November auction. We've got almost 30 lots on the platform. We're expecting a capacity crowd. The stock is just overwhelming. And I'm excited, and I know you're excited as well. And thank you for bringing your insights to the table.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got a lot to